are with Mr. Vineet Tyagi from Insolation Energy. Firstly, thank you so much, Mr. Vineet Tyagi, for joining us, and congratulations on the launch of IPO. So tell us, how's it going on that front?
See, we came into module manufacturing in the year 2015, and it's almost around a journey of more than 5 years. And we started with a 60 megawatt line, and now we are sitting at 700 megawatt now. So you can see it is almost 10 times growth what we have seen in the last 5 to 6 years. And now we are expanding and aiming high to go for a gigawatt scale production level. And that is precisely the reason of coming out with this IPO, to fund our working capital requirements and to fund our expansion. And as you can see, today is our IPO is still live, and today is the last day of our IPO, and it is already more than 100 times subscribed. So I think thanks to all of you, all of our customers, and for the people or the investors who have believed in solar. Thank you.
Okay. So, going ahead, looking ahead, what do you think are going to be the topmost trends in the solar industry?
See, if I say in terms of the manufacturing, that is one aspect of it. Then other side we see is the development side of the project side. So we have seen the changes in the policy in the last year, like coming up of BCD, and safeguard duty was also there. And there is a recently push from the government for the manufacturing sector for manufacturing-based incentives like PLIs to the tune of 19,500 crore, which has been recently approved by the cabinet also. So in terms of the manufacturing, government is giving a good push. And after the COVID impact, world is also looking for an alternative to the China. And I think we are sitting at a time, and India is pretty much eager to take on this opportunity. So it's a big boost for our manufacturing sector. And in terms of the project, I would say by 2030 we need to have a 300 gigawatt of budget, a target for the renewable energy. And that can be only accomplished by installations of around 30 gigawatt per year. So that is the size of market we are looking till 2030. So to cater to that demand, we need to have a backup manufacturing base, and with the less reliance of the imports. So that is the market and opportunity for each one of us. And thirdly, we can look for exports also.
So since you mentioned markets, how do you see the solar rooftops are performing in residential and CNI area?
See, rooftop and CNI are the segment which are basically state specific, because every state has its own policy. We have seen, unfortunately, because of the policy ups and downs, certain states we have seen like Gujarat, they are doing exceedingly well because of the favorable policy and the investment climate over there. And in northern states like Bihar, maybe UP, we are still lagging behind. So it is basically related on the government policies, and if they are favorable, obviously people would like to go for it. We have already seen the parity in terms of the with coal, in terms of the conventional electricity vis-a-vis this renewable power, and people are ready to accept it. The only thing is the policy and the easy availability of the finance, because if the will is there, it has to be backed by the finance also. So more the options are available, easy options are available for the finance, it is going to give push to the rooftop. Unfortunately, out of 40 gigawatt, we have been able to touch around 7 gigawatt till date. So that journey is too far off, but I am hopeful with the recent changes, things will be better.
Do you think that going ahead, solar rooftops will perform better in the residential sector, because the government is also putting an impetus on that?
Yeah, see, in terms of the policies, now we have been saying the stability to a certain extent. And secondly, the awareness on the part of the customer, that is also on the rise. Right? And certain state governments, they are giving incentives also. Right? And people are also aware to cut down the emissions and to cut down the pollutions also. And plus they are getting the cost benefit in terms of the conventional electricity also. So that awareness on the part of the customer is also going to give a boost to this segment, and backed up by the favorable policies and easy availability of the finance. These three are the critical factors.
So what do you think its market share is going to be going forward?
In terms of market share, I would say, see, projects, ground-mounted projects are if I compare, we are sitting at 6 gigawatt, 7 gigawatt in rooftops right now. And for ground mounted, we are close to around 45 gigawatts. So it is almost one tenth of that. So you can't compare in terms of the size, because we are seeing a lot of solar parks are also coming which are into gigawatt scales. So there is no comparison of these two. That is related to the utility scale, and this is related to particularly to the end user segment. So, and the availability of finance for corporates is easy compared to the individual, where credibility and credits are big risky. So there is no comparison at all. But yes, there are enough scope for rooftop segment.
What do you think about captive solar plants? Do you think they will also come up in a big way?
Captive is one segment where, especially since it has been mandated for certain industries which are creating a lot of pollutions like cement industry and all. And certain state governments, they have also hiked the rooftop limits. Like initially it was to 500 kilowatt. They have recently hiked it to 1 megawatt, depending upon the states. So it becomes easy for the industries and the big C&I segments to go for, and makes sense also for them to go for captive power plants, so as to reduce their overall cost. And as I mentioned earlier, the availability of finance for C&I segments where the captive is of much use is easy for them to get because of their credibility and their I would say the awareness and the knowledge on their part to get the things done.
So speaking of solar market trends, do you think that going ahead, bifacial modules are going to be the order of the day, because they are certainly dominating they have begun to dominate the market. So what is your take on that?
See, if I see last decade trend, we have been primarily supplying the polys, and of late the trend has shifted to the mono also. And bifacials, HJTs and topcons are the technologies of the future. No doubt we have sufficient efficiency gains in these technologies, but ultimately everything comes down to the availability of the raw material, and there is a commercial aspect to it also, right? Like we have certain good technologies also, like thin films are also there. But they were not, I would say, in terms of the cost comparison at par with the polysilicon. So we have to see if the availability of the raw material backed up by the large scales manufacturing, if the cost comes down, definitely these are the technologies for the futures, like HJT, Topcon and bifacial as you mentioned. Ultimately everything is linked to the LCOE. So more generation we have from the less space at a lesser cost. So that would be the that technology will see the light of the day.
And the coming up of bifacial modules, do you think that it is also going to give a push once again to solar trackers?
Solar trackers per se is a different technology actually. So everything comes down to the field conditions. We have to see what is the cost which is involved in the trackers, and what additional generation we are getting by installing the this tracker. Is it bi-directional or three-directional kind of thing? So that, and ultimately I think if I am not wrong, the incremental cost is close to 15 to 20% if we are employing the trackers right now. So if that is backed up by more advances in the generation side, then definitely it makes sense, commercial sense to go for it. And per se for bifacial, yes, we are getting double benefit in bifacials and backed up with the tracker, and we have more generation compared to the cost escalation, because bifacial is priced higher compared to the polysilicons and all. And trackers, as I mentioned, is 10 to 15%. So overall, if the generation gain is more than what we invest in the commercials, then it makes sense.
And do you think that polycrystalline module technology is kind of, more obsolete? It's becoming more obsolete now.
See, with the time, when efficiency gains are there more with the mono parks and all, then as I mentioned with Topcon also, the gain is close to 15 to 20%. So we just cannot rely on polysilicons. So if we have to compete in terms of the price and in terms of the efficiency gains with from the less space, if we are getting more generation, definitely it makes sense to go for newer technologies. And polysilicon, if it is in terms of the manufacturing also, the number of manufacturers, if you see, are going down day by day. So trend is shifting more toward the newer technologies, which are, I think in a few years to come, will be more competitive in terms of the price, and with more efficiency gains, definitely they will overcome the poly.
So tell us, the cost of solar installations is also increasing. Why do you think that is happening, and how do you see the trend moving forward in the years to come?
Uh, that is a question I think everybody is a catchy question, I would say. Uh, we started with around 17, if you remember, Gujarat 17.88 PPA, and now we are seeing PPA to the extent of 2.39 to 2.40. So, if in terms of the price, definitely there have been a lot of, I should say, manifold reduction. But in the recent past, because of the imposition of the safeguard duties, custom duties, and the cost of the raw material has also gone up. You can see the political situation which are there across the world. The polysilicon prices are hitting the roof, and the freights costs are also there, backed up by the increase in the BOM cost. Yes, it has become slightly costlier, but I would say it is good for the industry if everybody is earning the margins, right? Because that amount of money has to be invested into the new technologies. So business cannot run with the empty covers, right? So if you are earning, then only you can invest more. You can invest in the new technologies. You can expand more. You can increase your volumes and with a pretty decent margin. So, but still, I would say even at 2.49, and even if with the imposition of BCD, if it comes to 3, I think it definitely is commercial viable also.
And what is your take on BIPV? Do you think BIPV is also growing, has begun to grow in a big way in India?
I don't think so that it has reached the state where it should ideally be. I think because it has more of a aesthetic sense right now, and the commercial viability of it is not come as of now. We have less number of manufacturers, the volumes are less, the costs are on a higher side. Only thing is the aesthetic sense, and application part is easy. Uh-huh. So that is the hindrance to it actually.
So tell us about your solar hybrid PCU.
Solar.
Solar hybrid PCU.
Yes. See, till now we have been primarily focused into the manufacturing. Now, after 5 to 7 years down the line, when we are probably stabilized in the manufacturing and we are expanding also, and our customers are looking at a kind of complete solution from our side. So right now we were only offering them the panels. So we are thinking of coming up with the PCUs also, you can see, and the batteries we have recently launched. And in certain parts, we are doing EPC also in certain states, especially certain parts of the country, particularly since we are based out of North India. So we are focusing on EPC also, so as to have complete range of products and complete solutions we can offer to our customers.
And in which part of India the response to this product has been good so far?
See, we are primarily focusing on the North India, though we have a pan-India presence. We have distributors across all India.